2025 was a surprisingly great year for movies. We had vampire, epic, psychological thrillers, and one societal movie that blew me away. So here are my top 10 favorite movies of 2025, and number 10 might surprise you. The Housemaid is one of the most twisted, surprising, yet entertaining psychological thrillers I've seen since Gone Girl. We actually just dropped a complete analysis of Gone Girl on the podcast, so make sure to check that out. And if you liked Gone Girl, you're gonna like, or even love, The Housemaid. Sydney Sweeney is fine for the first half of the film, but then when things start to unravel, she really steps it up, and her character makes a lot more sense. But Amanda Seyfried steals the spotlight with possibly the best performance of her career. Begonia is one of those movies that'll have you scratching your head, not because you don't know what's going on, but because the film presents you with two different realities and you just don't know which one you're supposed to buy into. And for some reason that was super effective in entertaining me, along with great performances by Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. So if you like either of them, any film by the director Yorgos Lanthimos, or generally quirky movies, give Begonia a go. Having just seen Scream 7 and finding it a bore, it made me appreciate even more how good Final Destination Bloodlines was. It was a successful sequel in that it built on the previous films while simultaneously doing something new in of itself. This movie isn't for the uninitiated, but if you've seen and liked any of the previous Final Destinations, you should check this one out. This is also not one of those sequels that expects you to remember all of the things in the previous movies, but if you happen to, they are woven in subtle ways and you'll be rewarded for it. I was lucky enough to see Companion at a test screening in 2024 and loved it, so I was so happy to see that it was just as good when it came out in theaters and that it got the critical recognition it deserved. It's a psychological thriller, sci-fi horror movie, and honestly, the less you know about the story, the better. I just found it to be something totally original in terms of the plot, the themes, the characters, and it has a great cast of up-and-comers. Any fans of the psychological thriller horror crossover genre will enjoy Companion. I really liked Sinners, which I've seen twice, and I objectively appreciate that it is one of the best movies of 2025. Great story, characters, production value, directing, the lot. There's a reason why it had more Oscar nominations than any movie in history. But I didn't put it higher on this list because I'm not particularly passionate about vampire tales, and the whole history of black music theme obviously didn't connect with me as much as it might have with others. Before we go to the top 5, which includes one of the funniest movies of the year and the one that made me cry the most, make sure to subscribe to Dom's Film Club for a deep dive on classic movies, snap reviews on new ones, and bonus content like this. Much like Sinners, I really enjoyed One Battle After Another, but it just didn't quite live up to the hype of one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. I like to describe it as a straight-to-DVD plot, but executed to the max. It has one of the best casts you could imagine, great writing, one of the best directors of his generation, and a Hollywood blockbuster budget. It has everything going for it, and it delivers. The extent to which is subjective, and for me it was enough to make it my 5th favorite movie of the year. But my top 4 movies all jived with me in a more personal way. With Master of None, the real first 2 seasons, being my favorite TV show, I was so excited to finally get to see Aziz Ansari's film directorial debut, and good fortune didn't disappoint. This edgy comedy about Aziz Ansari's down-on-his-luck character switching lives with his rich boss, played by Seth Rogen, is a blast. It's funny, smart, interesting, and keeps you on your feet. And the cherry on the cake is Keanu Reeves in possibly the most and least Keanu role he's ever had. You have to see it to understand what I mean. So if you like smart comedies or any of the cast, I highly recommend you check out Good Fortune. Eternity is the story of an elderly lady who, after dying, has to choose whether she wants to go to heaven with her second husband of 65 years or her first husband who died 67 years ago but died in war. But they all inhabit their young bodies, which is how we end up with one of the best trio castings that we never knew we needed: Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner. This film is funny, cute, smart, and makes you question a lot of things about life and relationships. But most importantly, it has a lot of heart and a story that will take you on a roller coaster. I cried, I laughed, I was tense, but I left the theater feeling happy, and what more can you ask for from a movie? I'd been meaning to watch I Swear for ages, but just didn't get around to it. And then the BAFTAs happened. We watched it the next day, and thank God for that. This was one of my biggest movie surprises in a long time, in terms of how much I loved it. It was a straight up 5 out of 5 for me. This film, about the real life story of a man suffering severe Tourette's, will make you laugh sob uncontrollably, me at least, but most importantly, teach you in a way that only cinema can what it's like to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. I knew a little bit about Tourette's before watching this movie, but I swear is a masterclass in teaching you about every aspect of it, from how it actually affects the brain to how hard it is to do some of the most mundane things in life, like just walking through a library. The writing is excellent, the acting is superb, the pacing, directing, everything is perfect. I genuinely felt, given how many ways this movie could have gone wrong, that it is an absolute miracle that we got the 1 in a million version of this story that worked on every level. So if you love movies and have a heart, check out I Swear. Truly the most important movie of the year to me. Now, while I appreciate smaller, more artistic movies like Eternity or I Swear, my first love in movies is still always going to be heart-pumping, exciting movies about things that I'm passionate about, starring my favorite actors. And for that reason, my favorite movie of 2025 was the F1 movie. I'm a big F1 fan. Brad Pitt is my favorite actor, and I love Top Gun Maverick. So going into this movie, I was either going to be massively disappointed or blown away. And thankfully, it was the latter. Yes, F1 has its fair share of sports movies cliches, but is that a bad thing if they work? And it's such a unique experience to see a movie about a sport that you love where the production was actually embedded with the real thing. It's surreal seeing Brad Pitt rub shoulders and a fair few front wings with the likes of Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. I also think I'm the perfect level of F1 fan where I know enough about it to appreciate all the small details that they went to great lengths to replicate, while also not being bothered by idiosyncrasies like how Sonny Hayes got his super license. The story and script won't blow you away, but they're solid. It has great side characters played by Javier Bardem, Kerry Condon, or Damson Idris, and Brad Pitt just oozes that rarefied movie star suave in every scene that he's in, while the racing is just something that you've never seen before. And on rewatching it, smaller things like the score or the sound editing really hit differently. So if you like F1, sports movies, or Brad Pitt, you have to check out the F1 movie. This is obviously a very subjective top choice, as is this whole list, so make sure to let me know in the comments which ones you agree with, which ones you might have hated, and what your favorite movies of 2025 were.